Curiosity gap. And you won't believe what happened next. What happened next, Matt? Yep, that's the curiosity gap. Our brain craves closure, and clickbait teases it just enough to keep us hooked. Sneaky, right? Illusion of control. Why do we blow on dice before rolling them? It gives us the illusion of control. We overestimate our ability to influence random events. Blowing on dice doesn't change anything. But hey, it feels powerful, especially when playing Monopoly, and you don't want to end up on someone's hotel. Zeigarnik effect. It's already midnight, and tomorrow I've got to wake up for work, but just one more episode. Well, that's the Zeigarnik effect. Unfinished tasks annoy our brains. We crave the complete story, and streaming platforms, they know this. Why do you think they added the autoplay button? Google effect. Do you feel a bit smarter after Googling something? Well, that's the Google effect. Access to information makes us feel like we know more, but really, we're just good at searching. But that also counts, right? Apophenia. Why do bad things seem to happen in threes? Your brain loves finding patterns, even when there aren't any. So, if you get a flat tire, forget your lunch, and spill water on your phone all in one day, your brain will make it feel like those random mishaps are somehow connected, like the universe is messing with you. Social proof. Oh, that is hilarious, John. Such a good joke. Except, not even close. You're just laughing because everyone else is laughing and because John is your girlfriend's dad. That's social proof. If others are doing something, we assume it's the right thing to do. It's also why you often end up liking songs more after you see hundreds of people dancing to them online. Next in line effect. Hi, Matt. My name is Emily. Nice to meet you, Emma? If you forget someone's name the second they tell it to you, that's because of the next in line effect. Your brain is just too busy thinking about what you'll say next. Say their name aloud. It helps. Or you're just a lost cause. Hedonic treadmill. Why doesn't happiness last? You buy the new gadget or land your dream job, and as soon as it feels normal, your brain adjusts, always chasing the next big high. The treadmill never stops. Illusory truth effect. Ever hear a lie so often you start to believe it? That's the illusory truth effect. Repetition makes anything feel true, even if it's nonsense like cats always land on their feet. Please, don't try it. Chauffeur knowledge. You most likely have this one friend who sounds smart but is really just repeating stuff they overheard. That's chauffeur knowledge. It's like someone confidently explaining how wine has notes of oak and blackberry, but they couldn't tell Merlot from grape juice. Decoy effect. Be honest, how many times have you bought the medium popcorn because the small seemed tiny and the large was overpriced? That's the decoy effect. Companies often use an intentionally bad option to steer you toward the one they actually want you to pick. False consensus effect. Think people agree with you more than they do? That's the false consensus effect. We overestimate how much others share our opinions. Trust me, not everyone loves Love is Blind or cognitive dissonance. A good example of this is justifying a dumb purchase by saying, I deserved it. Our brain hates conflict, so it creates excuses to make our actions match our emotions. Spotlight effect. Do you ever feel like all eyes are on you because of a bad hair day or the coffee stain on your shirt? That's the spotlight effect. You think everyone's paying attention, but don't worry. They're too busy worrying about their own lives. Trust me, you're not the star of their story. They are. Neglect of probability. We get scared of big, dramatic dangers, like in Jaws, but ignore everyday risks, even when the chances of those are much higher. IKEA effect. Why does that wobbly shelf you built feel so special? The IKEA effect. When we invest effort into creating something, we value it much more, even if it's not exactly perfect. Your uneven DIY table? Priceless. Near-miss effect. Next try, it's mine. Ever feel like you're this close to winning, but just missed it? The near-miss effect makes you believe that you're about to succeed because you almost got it the last time, and the 5 before. Casinos and carnival games know this. That's why you're $20 deep for a stuffed panda. Optimism bias. That could never happen to me. Yeah, sure. The optimism bias tricks us into believing we're less likely to face negative events, just like assuming you'll never lose your phone, even though you've already left it on restaurant tables more times than you can count. Reality check, none of us are as exempt as we like to think. Sunk cost fallacy. Look, there is a new Taken movie playing. That must be good. And it wasn't. But you sat through the whole movie because you already paid for the ticket. Your brain insists, don't waste the money, even though wasting your time is even worse. Time perception bias. Feel like time speeds up as you age? That's time perception bias. As we get older, a year feels shorter compared to the years we've lived. Remember when summers felt like a lifetime? Now they're just 2 paychecks. Lake Wobegon effect. Do you think you're a better driver than most people? Of course you do. This is the Lake Wobegon effect, where we all overestimate our skills, whether it's parallel parking or cooking, and assume we're above average. Fun fact, the name comes from a fictional town where all the children are above average, even though that's mathematically impossible. Or is it? Zero price effect. Have you ever added something pricey to your cart just to qualify for free shipping? That's the zero price effect. Free feels magical, so much so that we forget we're actually spending more to get it. Halo effect. This guy has a nice watch and shirt. He must be pretty smart. This is pretty common. One impressive trait, like being well-dressed or confident, makes us believe the person must be good at everything. Like that colleague who always talks about investing, but still can't figure out how to turn on the calculator. Politeness theory. I always wanted a calendar with pictures of capybaras. Yeah, we both know you didn't. The politeness theory says that we lie to avoid hurting feelings or creating awkward situations, just like saying, I love it, about a gift you don't really want. Negativity bias. Ever read product reviews and only focus on the bad ones? Negative experiences weigh heavier on our brains than positive ones, and that's the negativity bias. One bad comment? Ruined. 10 compliments? Forgotten. Trust me, I know how that feels. YouTube can be a cruel place. Authority bias. We automatically tend to trust people who seem confident. It tricks us into thinking someone is knowledgeable, even when they're not. Planning fallacy. Start a project and think you'll finish in record time? That's me every time. We underestimate how long things take, whether it's cleaning the garage or writing a YouTube script. Actor-observer bias. Simple example. You cut someone off in traffic and think, it's fine, I'm in a rush. But when someone does it to you, they are a jerk. We tend to excuse our own actions but blame others for doing the same thing. Rosy retrospection. Good old days, right? Why does nostalgia make everything feel better? That's rosy retrospection. The past seems perfect because our brain cuts out the boring or bad parts. Mood congruence. This explains why breakup songs are always the best when we're heartbroken. When we're feeling sad, we're more drawn to sad music because it reflects our emotions. Sometimes a playlist can be the best therapist. Time distortion. All right, time for a quick quiz. What makes time feel like it's flying faster? Hanging out with your friends, lunch with your mother-in-law, or Monday meetings? We all know the answer. Fun speeds up time. Boredom stretches it. It's why those Monday morning meetings last forever, but lunch break is over in a blink. Social facilitation. Have you ever noticed how we tend to laugh more in a group? Emotions amplify in crowds. That's what makes horror movies scarier when watched with friends and live shows so energetic. Mere exposure effect. Think you're immune to ads? Nope. The mere exposure effect says otherwise. The more you see something, the more you like it. That's why jingles get stuck in your head. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it. Peak end rule. What do you remember from your last vacation? The weather? The food, or perhaps the fresh air? Not the airport lines, crowded buses, and street scammers. We tend to judge an experience mostly by how we felt at the peak and at the end. That's also why the biggest hit usually comes last at concerts. Dunning-Kruger effect. Everyone's an expert on something trendy, but don't forget that people with the least knowledge often overestimate themselves, while true experts tend to doubt. Confidence doesn't always equal competence. Infinite scroll design. How often do you just keep scrolling even though you're tired? That's infinite scroll design. Platforms make it hard to stop by removing natural stopping points. Your thumb? Addicted. Hindsight bias. I always knew they were going to win. Did you really? What about the talks before the match started? This bias is also known as the knew-it-all-along phenomenon. After something happens, we convince ourselves it was predictable from the very start, even if it wasn't. Cocktail party effect. Why does your name catch your attention in a noisy room? Your brain blocks out most of the noise. When it hears something important or personal to you, like your name, it instantly grabs your attention. Cheers. Action bias. Ever feel the need to do something in a crisis, even if it's completely useless? That's action bias. Inaction feels wrong, so we jump into action, even if sitting tight would be the smarter move. Loss aversion. Why does losing $10 hurt more than finding $10 feels good? Our brain hates losing more than it enjoys winning. It's also why we often hold on to bad investments. We're trying to avoid admitting defeat. Bystander effect. This can be quite dangerous. When we see someone in need of help and there are other people around, we might think someone else will help. However, the more people there are, the less likely anyone is to act. The cure? Be the one who steps up. Don't wait for others. Illusion of averages. Imagine walking through a river that's, on average, 3 feet deep. Sounds safe, right? But if some parts are 6 feet deep, you're drowning. The illusion of averages hides extremes and makes stats misleading. Endowment effect. Why is it so hard to get rid of old junk? Thank the endowment effect. Once you own something, you assign it more value than it actually has. Illusory correlation. I always beat you at golf when I wear my lucky socks. Well, perhaps you have some special socks that give you golfing superpowers, but most likely your brain is just linking two unrelated things. It's the same reason people think their horoscope predicted their breakup. No, Becky, it didn't. Pygmalion effect. Do you perform better when someone believes in you? That's the Pygmalion effect. High expectations can actually boost our performance, like when a teacher assumed you're a genius, so he started acting like one. Priming. A common situation. You're shopping at a mall, and the speakers are playing a catchy jingle. On your way home, you catch yourself humming it nonstop. That's priming. Exposure to subtle cues influences your thoughts and actions later. It's why seeing a fast food ad during a TV show suddenly makes you crave fries, even if you weren't hungry. Advertisers are experts at this. Your cravings are no accident. Self-serving bias. Why is it easier to claim every success and blame others for every failure? It's because of our need to protect our self-esteem and our tendency to perceive ourselves in a more positive light. Failed the group project? Definitely Chad's fault. Groupthink. Meetings can feel productive, but most of the time, they aren't. When everyone just wants to agree, bad ideas get ignored because no one wants to speak up. Do it. It might save the day and make the meeting actually productive. Deja vu. Those are the moments when it really feels like we live in a simulation. The moments you feel like you've lived this moment before. It's actually your brain getting confused because familiar things start to overlap with your memories. Contrast effect. Look, I usually don't dress in anything special, but when I meet someone wearing sandals and socks, I immediately start feeling like I'm dressed for the red carpet. That's the contrast effect. Comparing something to an extreme makes it seem better or worse than it actually is. Availability heuristic. This is why we are more scared of flying than driving a car. Our brains focus on dramatic, memorable events, like news about planes having problems, even though statistically cars are far more dangerous. Paradox of choice. When my partner and I want to watch a movie, I know we have to count at least 40 minutes before actually picking one. Too many options overwhelm your brain, leaving you less satisfied even when you pick a good one. Sometimes less really is more. Anchoring bias. Trust me, even a $100 t-shirt can feel cheap after the salesperson shows you the $400 one. That's anchoring bias. Your brain latches onto the first number presented, the $400, and uses it as a reference point. So now $100 seems like a good deal, even though it's still just a shirt. Framing bias. This is the reason why a 95% survival rate sounds better than a 5% failure rate. How information is presented significantly changes how we perceive it, even when the facts are identical. Empathy gap. Do you get mad at someone for not understanding how much you struggle? That's because there's an empathy gap. When we're in one emotional state, like angry or stressed, it's hard to imagine what it's like to feel calm or happy. Emotional reasoning. Think of something sad and the world turns gray. Now think of the happiest moment in your life and there's a bit of sunshine, even if it's cloudy. That's emotional reasoning. Very often we let our feelings dictate our reality. So keep in mind, your bad mood doesn't mean your life is actually falling apart. False memory effect. Sometimes we remember things that never actually happened. Our brains are great at filling in gaps, but sometimes it creates entire false memories. But hey, at least something we can argue about with our family during family meetings. If you want to learn powerful negotiation tricks, watch this video. And if you subscribe, you're a legend. My name is Matt, and I thank you for watching.